Do you guys want to stay up here? You can
We'll sit here.
Can I sit with you? Or?
Yeah, after.
After. No one can see that. Welcome, everybody. Thank you. So we're going to be looking at mistakes to avoid if you want to run successful ads. So I'm sure most of you would want to do that, right? So this is us. Now, I know that this looks a little bit different to how I actually look. It's before I became a father and didn't sleep for a couple of years. And we've got Max and Vincenzo, lovely sitting there on the couch. Give us a wave, guys. A little kiss, maybe? No? So a little bit about me, if you don't know me. I've been a seller since 2017. I'm a brand owner. I have the Amazon seller community, which is free, and I'm going to give you guys a link to that later. I'm an official Amazon ads educator, and my main passion is marketing and branding and all that sort of stuff. So, who wants better performing ads? Just a little show of hands. You can put a little thumbs up. Oh, my goodness. Okay, cool. But you're always fighting an uphill battle. Can we get some nods? Can I see that or not? Yeah. I've got two people over there. Okay, so this is for you guys. Everyone else is sorted. You're not alone. So this is something that we have seen time and time and time again. So we thought to ourselves, how can we help you guys today walk away with something that's really, really actionable? So we put our heads together, and this is what we created. This is our love child. We call him Maximo. We are just friends as well, just so you guys know. So I'm going to go through some mistakes. I've got a few, and then the other guys, we really want to make sure that you walk away with something actionable. All of success has traits. You can find commonalities in many people that have success, but most of the time they come at many, many, many mistakes, and all of those you see time and time again, and we've seen thousands of these things over the years. So the first one I'm talking about is super boring. It's really essential, especially if you end up working with an agency or even you're scaling your ads yourself, and that's just naming conventions. Organized chaos is still chaos. So if you're one of those people that have a garage or you have one of those drawers which just like, it's absolutely crazy, but you know where everything is, right? I'm sure there's a few of you in this room. I'm kind of like that myself. It's still chaos, and when you're running your ads, you can't operate like that. So you need a solid naming structure. That is 100% for sure. And you may not have that when you start running ads. So there's a few people that have been running ads for like under 3 years or so. You guys might not have this, so this is really important. I need you to keep it simple. Don't go on Google and go on YouTube and find like, what's the best naming convention for Amazon sellers? You need to make it really, really simple for yourself and also for other people. So you make a key. So anything that you have, any codes you have, you can easily be translated, because if you're ill for 2 weeks and you can't edit your campaigns, you need to be able to hand it off to someone, okay? So if you have naming conventions like this, January test number 4, Black Friday deal 3, bad, right? Don't be doing that. Instead, this is a template you can use, but please don't take a picture of this and go, I need to do exactly this, because let's say you sell in one category and you're in home and personal care. And you don't need to put that in your naming convention because it's obvious. Like, that is the products that you sell. So this is what you can do. You can have your ASIN, a product short name. I really recommend that. Ad type, match type, bid placement, adjustments, keyword, right? And if that's suiting you. Then I've got 2 variations of this on screen. One, you can see with the ASIN, a line, kids WB, which is going to be kids water bottle, SP for sponsored product, EX for exact match, but that's also quite long. So we can shorten that even further to KWB, which is going to be our short name for our product, rather than having the ASIN. And it depends if you're working with, if you've got an agency that they prefer ASINs, then just go with that. If you prefer your short name, go with that. Just do what works with you. And then you can just do something like this, SP_EX_TOS30. And it may not mean a huge amount to someone that's totally green to this stuff, but if you have a key and if you have a code that you can give to people, then it's going to be very, very understandable. And importantly, searchable. So if you go through your campaigns, there's 100, 200, 300, 1,000. There's probably people with thousands of campaigns. You can search for the exact thing that you want, and it's going to pop up. Use acronyms, abbreviations to save space. So these are kind of typical normal stuff, but you might have something slightly different. So I'll use SP for sponsored product, or SB for sponsored brand, or SPV for sponsored brand video. But the real important one, because a lot of these are quite common, the real important one is the short product names if you're not using your ASIN. So if it is kids water bottle and it turns to KWB, you need to make sure that that is written down somewhere. So if you ever need to hand off your ads, or you ever need to search for it, you go, oh, what was that? I was really hungover. I need to go check my ads. Oh, what was the thing? Then you can search for it, okay? So make your own, keep it consistent. and make sure that you have it logged somewhere as well. Mistake number 2 is not focusing on organic ranking. So I know we're at an ads event, and I'm going to be talking about organic. And actually, George spoke about this a little bit earlier. If you're always relying on your ads, you're probably not going to have a good time in the long term. Sorry, guys. Right? I know we want to spend more. But this is really important. What we all want is we want organic sales, but the driver for that, the fire for that, the fuel is ads, and you just need to know how to manage that fully so that when you're running ads, and if you want to rank for keywords, you know exactly why you're doing that, how to set up those campaigns correctly, so that eventually you get the organic sales, which pays for all the ads, and then some, okay? So this is what many people might say, that you spend like 60, 70% organic, and then you have 30% of your spend through ads. Has anyone heard something similar to that, like 70-30, right? And I think that's good. Overall, it can work out really well, so that if 30% of your cost is ad spend, then overall, you're probably doing quite well, right? Your total cost of advertising is maybe 7 to 12%. However, the way that I really like to look at this is you want more organic and more ads. Not a case of less ads. You actually want to spend more money, because if you can outspend your competitors, generally speaking, you will win in the long run. So I really want you to think about this as, yes, we want to rank, but actually we want to spend more money on ads. You're welcome. Right? Okay, so this is a simple ranking strategy you can use. I'm going to use this product, a running vest, no affiliation with them whatsoever. But what you want to do is target running vest, hydration vest, and running backpack. These are like the main root keywords that you might want to rank for this particular product if you really want to make a lot of sales. What's going to happen when you target those keywords? Has anyone done this for their products? Or their products, you've targeted the main keywords. What happens? You get absolutely wrecked, right? You end up with, it's a highly competitive keyword. You have people that might be new sellers just doing massive bids, just doing some crazy stuff, high cost per click, and you end up saying, well, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. There's no, like, why am I even advertising on this keyword? I'm losing money on it. So instead, I want you to focus on, I'll get out of the way a little bit. I want you to focus on phrases that contain those keywords, and then you advertise on those instead. And you need to let Amazon know that you're relevant. And actually, where Max is going to talk quite a lot about relevancy, and it's so important in this stage of Amazon that we're at, is that we want to get relevancy over all else, because then we can get the exposure, we can get the clicks, we can get the sales. So what you want to do is look at the keywords that, in a phrase form, so like a sentence, contain the thing that you're looking for. So in this case, running vest. Marathon running vest, lightweight running vest for men, running vest for women, running vest with bottle. And you're going to batch them all together, and you can call it, or a bucket, you can call it keyword batch 1 or 2, or however many you're going to have. You do the same for your second root keyword, right? You're going to have to be quick on the pictures here. And you're going to do the same for the third one. This is quite simple, right? You also want to think about a few little tips. When you create these campaigns, you're going to have one campaign per root keyword, and that's because it needs to stay relevant. So we're not going to have running vest keywords in a campaign with hydration vest. We want to keep them separate and always keep them siloed. And you're going to organize those by search volume. So if you have a list of 20 in one batch, separate them into 4 batches of 5, and you have 4 campaigns with one campaign, let's say, that has 5 keywords with the top search terms. So they have really, really high search volume. You're not going to put a keyword that has 10,000 monthly searches with a keyword that has 500, because one is going to cannibalize the other, and the one that has low searches is just not going to get any spend, therefore you don't even know if it works. So just organize them and have 5 to 10 keywords max, and start with the exact match. So this is something really tangible you can walk away with. The reason why you don't want to do anything else is because you need to make sure that exact phrase that you've put out there is what you're actually advertising, so that you can get relevancy for the commonality, which is the main keyword, running vest. If Amazon see that you're making sales on hydration vest for running, hydration vest for marathons, hydration vest for men, what's common with all of those things? Hydration vest, and then you start to rank organically without actually targeting that keyword directly and having the really high cost per clicks, okay? Mistake number 3, not tracking keywords using brand analytics. So particularly top search terms and search query performance. We've seen this a little bit today, but the whole thing to do with this is that you cannot change what you cannot track. And I know that particularly when you start, you might think, it's like search query performance report, it's really confusing, there's a load of columns, and I'm going to try and tell you the very, very simple way to do this, and as you grow as a seller, you can make it more advanced as you want, okay? So what do you need to track? Everything. But I understand that that's not really going to happen at the start. It's just not possible. Once you get as really advanced as a seller, then you can have loads of spreadsheets and it can be very, very cool. But at the beginning, just track these things. You go to brand analytics, okay? So we've seen how to do that. You've got two things, search query performance and top search terms. So take a quick picture of that if you need to know where it is, okay? Then, this is top search terms. If you don't know what it does, it means that you can type in the keyword, hydration vest for running, and it will tell you the top, or running vest women, let's use that one. It will tell you the top 3 clicked products, their click share, their purchase share. This is really important because this is data about your competitors. Before brand analytics, you couldn't get this. This gives you the benchmark of what good looks like. If you want to rank at the top, you need to be getting these figures, okay? So that,
Sorry.
you can.
I know, I should.
So you're just going to log this down. You can do this on a weekly basis. I would prefer to have this weekly. Just log it down. You don't need to do anything with it. Just make sure you have a record of it. You can then go to brand analytics and go to search query performance, which is the other drop down. For the same keyword, it's now going to look at your results, not the competitor results, your results. And if you can see here, this is why it's confusing for people, right? You've got search funnel impressions. So this is how many impressions you're getting. Ignore that, doesn't matter, right? Clicks is what you want. So when you look at ASIN share, like that's your percentage of the clicks. That's what you want. Because if yours is 3% like this one, and the top competitors are getting 10, 15, 20, 25%, then you know you've got a long way to go. You've got more ads. You've got to get more ranking so that you can start to get the ranking near the top of your competitors. And all you're going to do is log this. Keep it simple. I can't tell you this enough. This is how you're going to do it. So create a very simple spreadsheet. Like, it doesn't have to be this simple, but very, very simple, that's very easily understandable. You only need a few bits of information: click share, add to basket rate, conversion share, the sales, and then your organic rank, right? So you can do this with a tool, or you can do it manually if you want to. As the weeks go on, if you change the price, or you add a coupon, or you change your title, or you improve your images, just make a note of it. Add a comment, add a note, whatever you can so you remember when on week 2, we made this change, and then we can look at the data coming out of it. So if you can see here, right, on week 2, there was a price drop. Obviously, the click share went up. More people are clicking because the price is lower. The add to basket rate went up. Conversion rate went up, and you had more sales. But when we replaced the price drop for an equal amount of coupon, the results weren't as good. So therefore, it tells you, which shall I have, the price drop or the coupon? Obviously, have the price drop. You can then go back and test. Okay, well, we know the price drop works. Can we do a lesser price drop with a coupon and see if we can get better results? And by doing this again and again and again and again and again, and also judging against your competitors, eventually, over weeks, months, you gradually see that rise and that organic ranking improving. Therefore, you can spend more money on ads. So I'm going to bring up the massive, incredible Max Sinclair to go over some incredible things with e-content, and I'll be back with you later.
5'8", Max Sinclair.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, it's great to be here. It's slightly surreal to be here because prior to founding eContent, I spent 6 years at Amazon. I've worked in 2 of the teams that have been sat outside. Specifically, one of my main roles at Amazon was looking after browse and catalog quality for the launch of Amazon in Singapore. And that's a lot of what I'm going to be talking to you today. I studied Deep Learning Essentials at Mila. I am the host of The New Frontier, the podcast about Amazon and AI and all this exciting stuff, so check it out on Spotify. And I'm also a minority shareholder in a D2C brand, so I have been playing with Amazon for over 10 years in many different spaces. So the mistake I'm going to talk to you about today is not optimizing your product content for Amazon's latest algorithms. I'm probably the only speaker who's not going to talk to you about ads in the whole presentation. So the 2 ones I'm going to talk about is Rufus, and then I'm going to talk about Cosmo. Who here has heard of Rufus? Should be everyone. If you're probably asleep if you haven't put your hand up. So Rufus is a front-end ChatGPT-style interface that Amazon have integrated into the web. It's on your mobile. It's on search. Under Amazon Search, it's on the product detail page. So when we talk about optimizing, so I'm going to talk about Rufus, and then I'm going to talk about Cosmo, which is a back-end algorithm, which is how Amazon actually ranks your products on Rufus and in the traditional search. So I always like to start my presentations about why. Why is Amazon doing this stuff, leaning into AI so much? And there's 2 quotes I want to share with you. The first one is from our Lord and Savior, Jeff Bezos. In 2016, wrote, "Customers are always beautifully, wonderfully dissatisfied, even when they report being happy and business is great. Even when they don't know it yet, customers want something better. No customer ever asked us for Prime membership, but it sure turns out they wanted it." So Amazon, and this is part of the culture at Amazon, customer obsession, they are always going to be reinventing the Amazon experience to make it better and better for customers. They focus less, sadly, on the seller experience, but customer obsession is number 1. Number 2, and this is from the recent shareholder, generative AI is going to reinvent virtually every customer experience we know. You'll see AI change the norms in speech, shopping, personal assistance. Some of these areas, like search, have already seen rapid progress. If your customer experiences aren't planning to leverage these intelligent models, their ability to query giant corpuses of data and quickly find your needle in the haystack, their ability to keep getting smarter and smarter with more feedback and data, their future agentic capabilities, you will not be competitive. So as an ex-employee, I would spend a lot of time reading the Amazon letter to shareholders. Who here has read one, a letter to shareholders? All of the Amazon staff, you should all have your hands up, because they are a fantastic way of understanding how the leadership is thinking, where it's going, all the way over in Seattle. And it's clear from their quotes that they're focused on AI, they're focused on reinventing the customer experience, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. And Rufus is indeed a superior customer experience. So this is my home office. I could have searched, I'm quite bougie, so I wanted to buy a nice new chair. I put into Rufus, my full prompt, a bit like ChatGPT, give me a high-quality massage chair. I care about quality and comfort. I want 4 stars reviews. Rufus gives me this product I purchased, and I'm very happy. When you do this organically, my chair doesn't even come up in the top 10. None of the top 10 have 4-star ranking, and the choice is overwhelming. Another example, ski gloves. There's over 2,000 ski gloves on Amazon. I'm no expert in ski gloves. I don't want to have to trawl through all of this stuff. Amazon Rufus will show me how to, the right product for your query, and it's just getting better and better. This, in my opinion, is going to be bigger than mobile. When I joined Amazon, 30% of searches started on mobile. Now it's at 80%. So I'm going to talk about how you can optimize your product listings for Rufus. But first of all, how many shoppers are using Rufus? Maybe someone over there can correct me, but Amazon haven't released anything public. But what they have released, if you know where to look, is an AWS blog about how much compute powered Rufus. And the way that AWS works is they scale up compute based on usage. That's kind of the whole model. It's a revolutionary model. And therefore, if they use 80,000 chips, and we know from the blog that you could process 300 million tokens per minute. If we assume that a Rufus query is about the same as a Perplexity query, which is about 10 to 11 words, then we know this is about 275 million searches that it can do, or about 14% of Amazon's 2 billion searches. So it's a growing number of searches coming through Rufus, and soon it's going to start through Alexa. I don't know how many of you guys have Alexa at home. It's about 30% in the US. And we're going to soon start to see search go through speech. Amazon is integrating Claude with Alexa Plus. We don't have it here yet in the UK, but this is coming. So how can you optimize your product listings for what is a rapidly changing game of how people are discovering products? The answer is in the science. So we're very grateful to Amazon because they release all of their science papers. If you go on amazon.science, you're going to find about 2,000 science papers on search and retrieval and the rest of it. And I'm going to go through what I think are the 2 most relevant science papers, but my team at Ecomcy, we've gone through hundreds. So in the Rufus science paper, they talk about 5 things that you need to address on your product listings in order to get mentioned. This is subjective product needs. Is it the adjective behind it? This is the event. Why do people buy your product? What do they use your product for? This is the activity, the goal and the purpose that someone would purchase your product for, and the target audience. So if you want to rank on Rufus, rather than kind of trying to play the keyword game, you need to describe your product basically to a human, because these AIs are super smart, and that's going to help you to surface. The next thing I'm going to talk about is Cosmo. Who here has heard about Cosmo? I know there's 3 at the front. OK, we've got a handful. So Cosmo is Amazon's common sense algorithm. This is, again, a large language model. Rather than putting it in the front end like Rufus, they put it in the back end. They've trained it on hundreds of millions of data points. And the key thing about this is that it is live. It's live today. In this science paper, which is from 2024, they said they did a test on 10% of US traffic, which is an enormous amount of traffic. And they saw a 0.7% increase in product sales. And therefore, they've rolled it, and the rollout is going to be worth billion. And from everything I've seen in my position, working with hundreds of Amazon sellers and tracking this stuff, this is live across all locales everywhere. And of course it is, because Amazon just want to increase their conversion. So how do you future-proof to the Cosmo algorithm, the back-end algorithm? Well, 3 things: intent-based matching, optimized visual content, and monitoring and optimization. Keywords don't matter as much anymore, and for a technical reason why. When a customer puts in their keyword, that is put into the LLM. The LLMs work on the basis of tokens. Tokens are numbers, so in goes the keyword, it's converted into numbers. This is compressed because this stuff is super expensive to run. And then in goes all the knowledge, the common sense knowledge that we talked about, and which Amazon has trained, and then out comes the response to the customer of recommending a product. So if you're trying to target a long-tail keyword in organic search, that's not even getting into the first step of this new Cosmo algorithm. It's all about the intent. So, and I could honestly show you maybe 10 or 15 science papers with different language. They all say the same thing fundamentally. On your product listings, you need to talk about the function. You need to talk about the event. You need to talk about the audience. You need to talk about the product type, who's buying it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And to bring home what this AI does, if a pregnant woman is searching for slip-resistant shoes, they're going to see that data on the customer, they're going to understand her, and they're going to show her slip-resistant shoes because Amazon knows she's pregnant. Amazon has all this data on all of us, 20 years of data, famously knows if someone's pregnant before they are. So they're going to show, it's true, so they're going to show the person what's right for each individual customer, and they're going to personalize the experience. This is already happening now, but this is going to increase massively going forward. Search is now multimodal. Multimodal meaning it includes images as well as text. Amazon have recognition. Maybe some of you have heard of it. Basically, they sell it to third parties, but they use it themselves as well. It means they can understand the context of an image, and they're weighting this in the search algorithms now. It's not just text. And I remember when I was doing this in Singapore, one of the big problems we had would, sellers would keyword stuff, and if you're selling a blue jacket, they'll put purple jacket, green jacket, whatever. And the AI wasn't smart enough at that point to kind of work out what was a blue jacket and bring that to the customer. Now they can read the context of the images, and of course that is going to weigh into the algorithm. So what I'm talking about today is not just theoretical, it's practice. We've got many customers we've been working with to do this. So just to show you a quick before and after, if before one of this customer, they didn't have any optimized infographics or images like I've been talking about. And when Rufus talked about their product, nothing came back. Then when they generate the content on eContent with us, suddenly Rufus is picking that up in the in the response. Their bestseller ranked basically halved to 26 in the category, and they went to #1 on traditional search. And as you can see here, this main image is terrible. They should have been with our friends product opinion and optimizing it. But even though, and their reviews is pretty limited, but the fact that they've optimized for the back-end algorithms, they're going to #1 because they're doing all the things we've talked about. Generating optimized images about the audience, using these cigars, talking about the event they'd be using for all of this stuff. So the good news is, if you want to have a free audit of how your Amazon store is doing on Cosmo and Rufus, this is here. It's absolutely free, and you won't pay a penny with us until you actually start generating this optimized content, but you can use the freemium to your heart's desire. So with that, I will give over to my good friend, Vincenzo.
So I guess I would like to start first of all to thanking Amazon and the team. I think this initiative is definitely game changer in the space. We've seen how the space is getting very competitive. There's a lot of competition going on. And I think creating spaces like this where experts like us can come and tell you what is happening, because we see every single day where clients is definitely something that's going to allow you to be in terms of having the edge against your competition. So let me start by giving you a bit about myself, why I'm here on stage and what I'm going to be talking today. So my background is actually very technical, just as Max. I'm actually an aerospace engineer. I jumped into the space as an Amazon seller, essentially as a side hustle, like many of you maybe. And from there, I started to fall in love with the business models, start selling multiple brands, multiple products. From there, I'm having success with some of them. I started to go to different events, different masterminds, and that's where the passion for consulting came to fruition. That's where I founded Ecomcy 6 to 7 years ago. The beginning was only myself. Now a team of close to 70 people, over 100 million in managed across brands. So we have a lot of experience when it comes to Amazon, and that's hopefully some of the things we're going to be sharing today in terms of which mistakes I'm seeing a lot of you guys are doing, and that you should be avoiding to maximize your success on the platform. So here are some of the things we're seeing in Ecomcy when it comes to how this is affecting your Amazon ad spend. So we're seeing on average, like some of these mistakes I'm going to tell you today affect up to 30% in terms of money that's just going effectively to a black hole. It's done not into your business. And this is very important because at the end of the day, if you have more ad spend than your competition, that can be the key in terms of you succeeding or not, especially in 2025 where we see competition rising so fast on Amazon. And that brings me to my first mistake of the day, which is placement optimization. I can't tell you how many times I jump on accounts on a daily basis. I have a look at audits, and this goes from brands that do 10,000 pounds per month to brands that do $50 million per year. So this is across the board. It's not only the small ones or the big ones. When it comes to placement optimization, it's essentially understanding where your ads tend to perform better. In fact, a lot of people don't know that you can bid on your ads depending on where they show. That means top of the search, rest of the search, pro details pages. And we see that there's clear signs and many case studies that we have done that if you know how to master this, that can be the difference in terms of your ads being profitable or not. In fact, when we have a look at all our clients and we have a look at where usually the performance tends to be the best, tends to be on top of the search. Now, why top of the search, you might ask yourself? The reality is that most people don't go past page 1. In fact, there is this joke that people say, if you want to hide a body, put it on the second page of Amazon, right? Like, nobody's going to go there. And that's why top of the search is very good when it comes to conversion. Now, it's a big condition here. You need to be optimized for that. If you're showing top of the search but have no reviews, your price is not on point, or you don't have the elements to really understand your audience, as Max was saying, using solutions such as Pro Opinion to really understand who is your avatar to really convey the right message, that click is going to go to waste, and your ads are going to underperform, and effectively, your business is going to struggle. So optimizing placement is key. And of course, when it comes to placement, there's an extra layer of complexity that comes here, and that's day parting. Like, this is something I actually see a lot of people not leveraging, because when it comes to placement optimization, it's not only about your ad showing top of the search, rest of the search, your pro details pages. It's about which time of the day. In fact, we have many case studies about this. One specific comes to mind. We have this kitchen brand that we saw their conversion tends to be more effective throughout, for example, 1 and 3 in the afternoon, and then, for example, 6 and 9 in the evening. And you must start thinking, why that's the case? Because most of the time, when you're looking to buy a product for your kitchen, it actually comes to mind when you're cooking and you're missing the item in the kitchen in the first place. So that's where you start to need to understand the behavior around your consumer and bring that to us to make sure you can maximize effectively the conversion that you get out of that. Now, when it comes to the placement optimization, this is also very straightforward. Like, actually from Amazon Ads Console, there's a report that gives you all the breakdown at the placement level. But if you want a more graphical way of doing it, if you go each of your campaigns at the ad group level, you're going to see there's a tab on the left-hand side called placements, and you're going to be able to have all the data in terms of how you perform top of the search, rest of the search, pro details pages, and from there, based on the different kind of KPIs that define success for you, that's where you're going to take action. Now, mistake number 6. Now, I know AI is a big thing. Everybody's talking about AI, but a lot of people are doing the big mistake of automating their PPC. And that's a big, big mistake. I'm going to tell you why. Because when it comes to automating your PPC, at the end of the day, PPC has usually two ways of seeing it. It has the numerical side of it, which is as simple as conversion, your CPC, your ACOS, your ROAS, and all of that. But at the end of the day, advertising goes beyond that. There's also psychology behind how you run your ads. Things such as, for example, we decide sometimes to run ads on a keyword, which we know we lose money on every single sale, but we know that's the way for us to tap into the consumer to then upsell other products. That's something that AI usually is not going to come to the conclusion just by having a look at conversion, for example, right? Or things such as defensive strategies. Sometimes we have keywords that we lose money every single time we get shown on those keywords, but it's about our competition not having the edge over us in terms of visibility and awareness. So that's where you have to find a balance. Automation is very good, especially when it comes to doing things that are very admin, things such as, for example, changing a bit 3 in the morning or day parting or things like that. That's perfect for that, but not to the point of click and forget. Like all the accounts that we audit that do click and forget methodology, those are the ones that are struggling right now. So how you do that? Usually what we do is automation, as I say, is things that are more kind of admin, things that don't require a lot of strategy and things that a person shouldn't be doing. But the strategy should always be done by an expert when it comes to what is the avatar behind this product? How do I actually should structure the campaigns to reach my targets? What is the actual ramification of doing a defense strategy to protect me against X scenario? What is the long time plan in terms of the brand 2 years from now? So those are the things where a person should always be involved. Now, something I recommend in terms of layers, the human side, setting the campaigns, the foundation, the keywords, the main kind of structure, and then of course you want to have the automation to do daily tasks that are, again, changing the a bit here and there, negating a keyword, that definitely can be negated. And another thing that is also very important here is that something you want to add on your automation to avoid this mistake is if you're using a lot of automation when it comes to PPC, you want to make sure as well that you have regular checks. Because automation, the thing that usually tends to happen is that because automation is driven usually by numbers in terms of, as I say, conversion, ACOS, ROAS, and all of that, can get out of control very fast. Because if you start over-optimizing a keyword or under-optimizing a keyword based on essentially the rules that you put on the software, which, by the way, a lot of times the automation doesn't fail because the software is bad. It's because most people fail to put the right rules in place, which that's a thing that you have to be very careful. A lot of these automations have like copy-paste methodologies. That's not how PPC should be done. PPC should be always tailored to your specific kind of strategies, and that's why you have to be very careful. Now, mistake number 7, and this is something that is very, very important because especially at Ecomcy, we do a lot of international expansion. That means taking brands from the US to Europe, to the Middle East, Amazon, Japan, Australia, all of that. And we see a lot of the mistakes as well is that when it comes to localizing, people essentially always take the easy route. Like, again, you can definitely use the heavy lifting tools within Amazon to create your store and do all of that, but at the end of the day, and actually if you see on the comments from Amazon, Amazon always says, like, we have exported your store, but make sure your content is actually tailored towards your consumer because it's not only about translation, and Jana, one of the experts, for sure going to support this point. Like it's about actually understanding that a person might perceive the product from a different perspective in Italy compared to Japan, compared to Australia. And you need to make sure you have local people that really understand that because if you don't, that's very easy mistake to essentially start conveying the wrong message and that's where effectively you start getting negative reviews and it's a down one spiral from there. In fact, some of the things here usually you're going to see in terms of affecting. For me, the biggest, if I'm honest with you, is seasonality. Like, for example, if we bring a product from the USA to Europe, right? In Europe, we have so many different seasonalities. And when I say seasonality, it's not only about in terms of weather, but also from a cultural perspective. So if you don't understand how you can adapt the product, which, by the way, it's not only to protect yourself from losing money, but most of the time it's to make more money. We have a lot of times products that we bring from the US, and because we know how to tailor to the German or how to tailor that to the French person, etc., we can actually now find a niche within the niche itself, and by bringing most of the time a lot of reviews from the United States, we can essentially hit the ground running when it comes to expansion. So that's where you have to make sure that's part of your methodology. Again, here, some of the impacts you're going to have, 100%, a lower click-through rate, which click-through rate at the end of the day is one of the biggest contributors for organic ranking. So that's what I'm saying. It's not only about having a bad customer experience to your clients, it's also tanking your business from having more market share control. And then from there, sales, reviews, and all of that. Now, here are some clear examples. You can clearly see how simple things such as the translation, when you translate from one kind of a country to another, even things that have to do with how, for example, you will take like the technical side, like measurements and all of that, that's where things can go bad very fast. So make sure you have a person, at least local, that oversees all of this, or just hire an expert that really understands the consumer so you don't encounter this friction when expanding. Now, another thing that I also want to add on here is I've been talking a lot about the content from a copy perspective, which is the title, bullet points, and everything, but images is also key here, because you're going to see that when you're actually bringing a product from one country to another, it's not only about showcasing the product and the characteristics and all of that features on the local language, but it's about the person on the image, right? Most likely the person that would buy your product in Japan is different than the person buys in France or in the UK. So make sure you also localize the avatar, and you use, of course, research to back up that up, right? And here, some clear examples, also things that we see at Ecomcy, like for us, every single time we do localization, it's night and day. Like we haven't had an example that we do localization, we don't see a benefit. So it's definitely a must, and that's a easy, it's a low-hanging fruit. It's no rocket science. I mean, me coming from a rocket background. So just work with people that really understand the game and adapt your brand. And here is the conclusion of my mistakes, right? Optimize your placements. Make sure you understand if you perform by the top of the search, rest of the search, product details pages. Make sure you combine that with departing, so you make sure that actually it's not only about showing at the right placement, but at the right time. Make sure on top of that, that if you're using automation, which there are many solutions out there now, you actually supervise them and you make sure that's tailored to your specific needs. And the final thing is understanding that if you do your international expansion, that is localized to the avatar on that specific region. So now, again, as Max also shared, if you want to give you free advice when it comes to this and help you on your journey on Amazon, feel free to scan this QR code. So, thank you. Yeah.
Scan it, scan it, scan it. Everyone scanned? Amazing. So, thank you, Vincenzo, for that. Thank you, Max. I'm going to bring it home with one last mistake. And it's not some hack or some trick or anything like that. It's actually really, really simple. And I've seen hundreds, if not thousands of people make this exact mistake. And it is definitely the worst mistake you will ever make. And that is getting in your own way, right? Has anyone felt that they've probably got in their own way before? Yeah, you don't have to. Yeah, I can see. Do it all the time, right? And there's a few things that this might look and sound like. But here's a few that I wrote down. I've already optimized my listing. Like, my PPC is not working. I've already optimized it last week. I did it. I spent a bunch of money on some photos. I've got a graphic designer, so it's optimized already. This I see all the time, and I'm like, you need to go check out Product Opinion. I'm just going to focus on Google Ads instead, or I'll go to Pinterest, or I'll go to other ad platform because it's just not working quite right here. Let me tell you, if it's not working on Amazon, it's certainly not going to work off Amazon, directing traffic to Amazon. So you have to get your house in order first. I'm just going to turn off ads for now. I just, spending a little bit too much at the moment. I'm just going to turn it off and see how it does organically. If it's not doing well organically, enough so that you can afford to run your ads, it's not going to work without it. You'll see a slow, horrible decline. So I want you just to be aware that you will come up with these issues daily, weekly, monthly. There's always going to be a new one. There's always going to be something new coming out. There'll be a new service. There'll be a new fee. And you just need to focus on finding the solution and not going to yourself, maybe I just need to backtrack. There's always a way around it. And you go to these experts that you've seen today, go to Amazon, and you're always going to find a way through. I've got 2 QR codes for you. Okay, so if you've liked what you've seen today, I'm working with Amazon on an event on the 5th of September. And this is normally for our Academy members. I have something called the Seller Pro Academy. We've run it for 7 years now. And we give out awards to people for reaching different milestones. And we're even introducing this year the Brand of the Year Award. And Amazon are fortunate enough we're fortunate enough that they've opened the doors so that we can have 150 sellers come to Amazon for an event where we'll be putting on a day of workshops, and it's going to be 100% free. So if you want to put yourself on a waiting list for that, there's a lot of people in this room. There's only 150 people that can come. Then I want you to scan that QR code, and you can just, I'll get out of the way for a second. And you can just register your interest. So we're going to be doing workshops. We're going to have like some absolutely incredible people. Come and you're going to get to go to Amazon headquarters as well, which is a really awesome thing, especially if you've never been. Get a photo for your brand downstairs, and it's something that you can put on your socials, which is amazing. So I'm going to do a network. We'll probably get drunk, and it'll be great. The second thing, if you want more resources, you want links to everything that Max does at Econtent and Vincenzo, we've got all of this inside our free community. These guys are also in that, as well as over $1 billion of selling experience from over 26 experts. So if you want to be able to get part of that group, it's 100% free. It's on the platform School. Go onto this QR code, join it. There's a ton of freebies. There's a ton of free resources, free SOPs, free masterclasses, event invites. It's free, okay? So scan it. I want to say a big thank you to Vincenzo and for Max. Thank you very much. Back to Angela.